Rev up your engines!
Well, there's all kinds of rumors going on the internet about gas stimulus checks that you can get up to $3,200 payments if you meet this criteria. Realize that most of it is wishful thinking. Now, it wouldn't be beyond me that the people in power now, since it's an election year, would give some kind of stimulus out to try to get you to vote for them. That wouldn't surprise me at all. But as it stands now, most of the stuff is just proposed legislations. After all, where is this money coming from? Right? They say the maximum is $3,200 payment. Where's, if you get that to millions and millions of people, where's the money coming from, right? I mean, it's wishful thinking. They've been talking about, they said they were going to do it in June 2024. Well, guess what? It's September now, and they haven't done it. But I wouldn't be surprised if they tout it as an election thing. We'll give you a stimulus check for your gas if you vote for us. Or maybe give a little bit out to tease people. Now, it's supposed to be a federal gas stimulus program to help those struggling with high energy prices. Other than a few states that have done a little bit of things, check in your own state. You might find your state has a thing. You might get a little bit of money back. Some people got $300-400 back. I mean, it's worth trying in your individual state. But when it comes to a federal level, a lot of this is wishful thinking. And, of course, you know, on the internet, people are always putting lies up all over the place, trying to get you to read the articles. Then you find out, if you do a little research, nobody's done it yet, that it was proposed and it's not actually out there. So don't be fooled by, oh, we're all going to get $3,200. I don't think that's coming anytime soon, other than politicians who might promise it before they get elected. And then when they get elected, they don't do it. Like most things that politicians talk about and never do. Barack says, Scotty, what are your thoughts on Stellantis CEO threatening to axe brands that aren't turning a profit? Okay, well, it's business, but it's kind of funny because a couple of years ago they said, I'm going to give all the brands 10 years to prove their worth. Well, now they're losing money, and he's starting to say, I'm going to get rid of these brands. The problem is Stellantis has a bunch of really stupid brands, things that don't sell, especially in the United States. Fiat's, Alfa Romeos, they sell a handful of cars, right? Who wants those junk Italian things? And now it's a European company, so there's only one Chrysler product out there, the minivan. That's all they make. So does it really matter if they axe it? Probably not, but Americans will lose jobs if they don't care. They're a European company. Damien says, Scotty, I'm looking for a fun daily driver. What are your thoughts on a 2016 Audi A3 2.0 turbo with 69,000 miles in excellent condition? What do you think? Run away from that. The Audi 2.0T is the worst engine Audi ever made. I have a friend who is an Audi mechanic, and he tells me, Scotty, last month we did 16 2.0 turbo engines over because they burn out. One of the worst engines they ever made. Turbocharging it makes it even worse. Audis are money pits to begin with, and since they are a luxury European brand, even though Volkswagen owns them, their parts are expensive, their labor is expensive. They are just money pit cars. Don't buy that thing if you value your money. Ricky's grandson said, Scotty, what are your thoughts on an FJ Cruiser with 150,000 plus miles of daily driver? Thanks. Okay, now they don't make them anymore, but they're extremely popular. It's weird. Toyota got rid of them because they're a big Jeepy thing, 6-cylinder engine. They got bad gas mileage. They wanted to get their CAFE gas mileage ratings up in the United States, so they axed them. Now, they're excellent made vehicles, regular Toyota. There's only one thing, and you got to beware it big time. Bunch of them were rust buckets. If you get one, say it was in Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, not on the ocean in Texas, but in the middle of Texas. If you look under there and there's no rust, fine. But sadly, I had a guy bring me one in Rhode Island when I was there. I'm there half the time. And he had just bought it he thought he got a real deal. He said, I paid $18,000 for this, and I thought I got a great deal. I looked under it, the whole thing was rotting away. It was rust everywhere. The control arms were getting ready to fall off because they use so much salt there. And they use 100% salt, too. They used to dilute it. They don't anymore. And that eats them through. So if you look at one of those, you want a mechanic to test it eventually to see if it was engine, tranny, all good. We can do that with a machine. But crawl under it, look at it with a flashlight. If the bottom's all rusted, run away and don't buy it. Martin Wankel says, RX-8 for a first car. Okay, I'm sure your name isn't Wankel. That's just because they have rotary engines, right? Wankel rotary engines. The thing about the RX-8s were, they were good-looking cars. They were fun to drive, but they had that Wankel rotary engine. As all the other ones that Mazda ever sold, they had problems with the engines blowing up. The engines can only take so much. Instead of having piston with piston rings that are round going up and down, they had rotors that spun. Interesting idea. but it had one flaw, and that was each corner of the triangle had an apex seal to seal it instead of piston rings. You can't put piston rings on it because it spins in a different way. So they put these apex seals. They always wear out and they burn oil and the engines break. Now, if you get one that runs good, doesn't burn oil, doesn't backfire, you can have a little fun with it, right? But don't overpay because realize those engines are going to go out. They do on all of them. They just never figured out how to make them right so they didn't burn oil, didn't have problems. Marcus SS says, Scotty, I have a 2012 Toyota Camry, 150,000 miles. Is it normal for it to burn oil? Okay. Well, some of the 7, 8s, 9s did because they had bad piston rings. How many miles do you have on how much oil does it burn? Guy brought me one yesterday. I said, does it burn any oil? He said, yeah. It burns about half a quart every 5,000 miles when I change the oil. Well, that's hardly anything at all. Who cares, right? Who cares? But let's say you got one that burns a quart every 1,000 miles. You can still drive it that way. My grandson has one, and it burns oil like that. And he just adds oil. He's been driving it years that way. So it all depends. Let's say you got 350,000 miles. Like the customer I brought me one the other day. Burns half a quart of oil every 5,000 miles. Who cares? No big deal. Carpe Buy It says, Nissan Murano, 2018 opinion. Okay, you know what we mechanics call Nissan Muranos? We call them Nissan Muranos because they're moronic cars. They're not very well made. Here's the thing. You can buy one brand new like any car. It'll probably run for a while. But it is not going to go 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 miles like a Toyota or a Honda. I had a customer with one the other day, had 70,000 miles that the front axle fell off. It just broke. Tire came off. You had to tow it over. It was a real pain in the butt. They aren't that well made. Now, it's an SUV. They're good looking. When they're running, they run good and drive around. They sell an awful lot of those things, but they really aren't all that well made. I would not buy one. Sir Tut says, thought on a Nissan Xterra Pathfinder. I'm looking at 2010 to 12 for a daily driver. Okay, now, that might not be a bad idea. They're not poorly made vehicles. They're decent vehicles, but they don't have the greatest reputation, so you can get a used one at a really good price. I've had people buy cars like that for $6,000, $7,000 or less. Some of them got them for $2,500, and they drove them for a few years. Didn't have too many problems. Now, here's the thing. They have to be maintained. So pull out one of the spark plugs. If it's burnt with burnt carbon, don't buy it. It means the engine's burning oil because the previous owner didn't maintain it. I've had customers maintain those things, have 170,000 miles. They're still running pretty good. But I've had people not maintain them at 60,000, 70,000 miles. The engines blew up because they didn't take care of them. They burnt oil. That's the main thing you want to check on that vehicle. Coffee Cup says, best car for Uber drivers. It really depends on what you want in terms of technology. I would say if you want probably one of the best cars for just a plain Uber driver, Toyota Camry. They're nice looking, they're luxurious enough. You can get a Corolla too, but the Corollas are smaller. You're not going to get any nice rides in them. You can't do like Uber Black because it's too cheap of a car. But a lot of people go for the Toyota hybrids. I've seen Camry hybrids, Priuses, and they get such good gas mileage that you can often make good money. The last time I went to Seattle on business, every Uber I was in was a Toyota Prius. The guys were saying, yeah, I get 55 miles a gallon, and boy, I make money on this. And so it's not a bad thing to do if you don't mind the hybrid option. Well, the further travails of the people in space with the Boeing Starliner, now it looks like they might be stuck until 2025. They went up for 8 days, and they might be up there until the beginning of next year to try to get them back. And now there's a big hassle going between NASA and Boeing. Boeing says, no, it's safe. They can take it down. But NASA's like, no, we don't trust it. We don't want to have our people's lives at stake because your stupid airliner didn't work that well, right? Imagine you go for an 8-day tour, and you might be there for almost a year. Kind of like Gilligan's Island. They went out for a 3-hour tour and they were stuck on this island for years, right? Only this isn't funny. This is serious. They're stuck up there. And here's the disgusting thing of it all. Since 2020, NASA has put out $6.7 billion on this program with Boeing and their Starliner. And Boeing's losses are $1.6 billion. You know, they start doing this stuff, their stock's going to go down the toilet. People are like, what a bunch of crap these guys make, right? And then our taxpayer dollars, there's $6.7 billion down the toilet, right? But Boeing says, oh yeah, it's safe for them to go on. You know what I say? Put the Boeing executives in the Starliner and then let them bring it down, see if it makes it or not, you know? Don't take these tour people that got up there and they're stuck and use them as guinea pigs. So it looks like they might be stuck up there till next year. I mean, it gets to be absolutely ridiculous. I mean, people should give up with Boeing. Find another company. These guys obviously are incompetent, don't know what they're doing. And it's bad enough with their planes and doors falling off. I certainly wouldn't want to get in one of their spaceships. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.